Okay, we should be live. And we'd like to welcome everybody who either you're listening live or you're listening to this at a further date to the first episode of the ORWBL podcast. And I'm one of your hosts, Aidan Cotter, with my other host, Brett Shepard. Brett, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Brett Shepard. Very excited for this podcast. I think some good episodes will be coming.
Yeah, and Brett, as mostly everybody who will listen to this will know, is the manager of the Granger Panthers. Mm-hmm. And I myself now play for the Muffs and former manager of the Olive Township Mechanics. And both of us have been pretty involved in ORWBL, especially the last year or two. Been really getting involved. And,
yeah.
Oh, do you have something to add?
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Just a quick rundown of what this is going to be like. We're going to be trying to record about every week. Obviously, everybody's pretty busy, but we're going to be trying to record every week and get an episode out to everybody, especially once the season picks up. Just covering anything going on with ORWBL, including the tournaments that the teams themselves are involved. And today, actually, we have a guest with us, and that would be Commissioner and Maple City Magic Manager Alex Friedman. Al, if you want to say hi.
How's it going, guys? Pleasure to join you. First podcast here for ORWBL.
Yeah, we're excited, man. Haven't really done anything like this.
No, we have not. First ORWBL podcast, and it's going to be a great idea, especially to get a lot of the, as I said, 171 players involved right now. So we know a lot of people are going to be listening, and you guys are going to do a great job, and I'm excited about this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously we're going to have problems to start, but I mean, that's just how these things work. And I don't know. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so today we're going to start off. We're going to talk about Skokie a little bit. There's some really big news coming out of there that I'm sure a lot of you have heard of. Then we're going to ask Alice some questions about Maple City. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the biggest moves this offseason. And finally, we're going to close it up, and we're going to preview our team of the week, which is actually the South Shore Silver Sluggers.
Say that 3 times fast.
Honestly. All right, so first we're going to talk a little about Skokie. So just to run it down, Skokie is in a new location this year. It's going to be Memorial Park in, what is that? Midlothian, Illinois?
Yep.
And
it'll be on July 14th and 15th.
Yeah, I believe those dates are the same as last year.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like that same week. I think it was 15th, 16th last year or something like that. So right around the same weekend.
That same weekend. And so actually and also the new leadership, new owners, Nate Hansen, Mike Baniak, and John Premitz. And at least, Al, has Mike been involved in ORWBL at all?
I do not believe Mike has been involved in ORWBL, but obviously Nate and John have.
Yeah. Big combo guys.
About Mike, but yeah, I'm interested to see where that goes.
Shout out to Jim Bodorf. Ran the tournament well for several years, stepping down. There's some big news coming out there, but I'm excited to see where the new leadership goes.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I mean, last year was my first year at Skokie. Brett, I know you were saying, what, 2 years? 2
years, yeah. I went the last 2 years. Those were my first 2.
Then, Al, how long have you guys been playing in it? You guys didn't play last year.
Yeah, we didn't play last year. The Wizard and I, we went to check out the NWLA tourney, and we weren't really able to get a group of guys together, so we didn't go last year, but I believe we were in it for 3 years prior to that, 3 or 4, and first year we were in it, it was actually pretty awesome. That's the 1 year that they had ESPN they were covering, so that was cool. But yeah, Jim did a great job with it. I'm excited to see the new venue. You said something about 30 parks.
Yeah, they said up to 30+ fields and a big concession stand. And so kind of in my head, that kind of reminded me of Wifflehawks, where it had been the last couple of years, with a nice concession stand in the middle. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
That'll be really cool. And then also, so I was a little confused reading about this. So there's still the World Wiffleball Championship in Skokie. That's the 14th and 15th. Then there's also the National Wiffleball Championship at Channelside Park, which apparently they had done in the past. But it'll now be returning after 6 years.
I had no idea about that.
It's from my understanding, what it is pretty much the top 20 teams that are ranked based off last year's tournament. You can find how they do the top 20 super teams in the world. Those teams are all going to get invited to, I believe it's 3 weekends before the World Wiffleball Championship in Midlothian. They're going to get invited to Skokie at Channelside Park, where the old World Wiffleball Championship just was previously held. And it's like a 20-team invitational, and if you win it, you get free entry into the World Wiffleball Championship 3 weeks after.
That's big. So from ORWBL, if all 20 teams come to that tournament that were ranked from ORWBL, we'd have number 1 seed would be Colt West, who technically are not a part of ORWBL.
All those guys playing ORWBL,
really
you know.
Are. Yeah. Number 2, Brett, your Granger Panthers. Number 4, New Carlisle Newts, and number 8, Hudson Lake Heat. So that would be.
They also said that any top 20 team that maybe can't make the trip or doesn't want to participate, then they'll be opening up to teams to sign up. So that's where I know I've talked to Al. He kind of wants to jump in on that with the Magic.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, realistically, there could be a scenario where the final 4 teams are ORWBL teams. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I will say we did pay for the Hudson Lake Heat entry fee. so
that's a little bit of Maple City.
So it sure does. So we'll see. But yeah, we'd like to get in on that too. We love to play. That's for sure.
That would be fun, definitely.
And Channelside, I really like that venue.
I'm gonna miss it for sure.
Well, you'll be back there.
Yeah, I guess we'll be back, but it won't be the same.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think definitely with the more teams, it was necessary to move.
It was getting bigger. I think it'll be cool with more teams.
Crowded last year, but it was a fun one. Honestly, it definitely felt different. Saturday was I don't know. Saturday was okay for me, but Sunday felt like real. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was hype.
Aidan, question for you: how was it playing with the Newts that weekend?
That was interesting. So for anybody who doesn't know, Obi ended up not really bringing any Newts. He brought myself, 2 of my teammates, Jason and Cody Webb, and then brought Nate Arnn as well. So it was kind of a lot younger Newts team than I'm sure people are used to. It was a good time. It really was. Interesting. We'll see if I don't know how much I'm allowed to say about the Newts team this year, but we'll see what happens.
Wow.
That should be a fun one. For damn sure. All right, moving on. Al, you're gracious enough to come onto the show and talk with us, so I figured we should ask you a couple questions. Definitely your first off season as a champion, as a man.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
Oh, it's been totally different. I mean, for 6 years, every off season, I just kept talking with guys like Wiz and Liv, Wes, just how are we going to get better? And then when Colt West left the league and the Core 4 joined the Newts, we knew it was going to be really, really, really tough to take these down. But this off season, it's been totally different because we really haven't, all the smack talk that goes on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
And we've kind of just laid low. I mean, we haven't really had to speak much because I think the championship speaks for itself. So it's definitely been unique. Our guys have been enjoying the off season, but we're ready to get back at it. That's for sure. We just had a little get together with the guys, kind of to go over some things here coming in next.
Saw Ben Huff was there.
Yeah.
Shout out Ben Huff.
Yeah, it was a beautiful surprise to see Huff there. Shout out Ben Huff, the peanut. But overall, just it's a different feeling after you win a title in the off season. But as we all know, there's a big target on our back headed forward. But we're ready.
Yeah, let me ask you, take that in the next question, Al. So after, you said all these years trying to win a championship, trying to go at it every offseason, now that you've won it and you guys have finally reached that goal, how do you, as a manager, motivate your guys to, rewind, go back to square one, and do it all again and try to make another championship run?
That's a good question, Brett. It's not easy to repeat as champions, obviously, in any sport. I believe, yeah, the Newts are the only team who's done that. In South Bend back in the days, the Sour Wowers.
Sour Wowers, yeah.
It's not easy to do, but you know, year to year, like dynamics from every team change, and you know, losing the Reeve brothers, Liv's, we can't count on Liv for much of the season at all with him doing what he's doing down at Baylor. Shout out Liv. And then even losing Mook, you know. I mean, that guy brought an incredible amount of he brought an incredible amount of energy. But yeah, I mean, I think bringing in 3 new guys is definitely something that'll help us. 3 guys who are hungry for a title, and you know, we just got to keep the same mottos going. We got some great leaders, and there's no reason we can't do it again.
Yeah. So for me, like, watch Maple City play the last couple of years, like, Liv has always been kind of the guy who I kind of felt like is you guys' X factor. He's kind of like, he doesn't get the recognition I feel like Wes and Caleb this last year does, but I feel like Liv has kind of been your guys' backbone. Like, how much does that put on, like, the new guys, Nate, Shane, and Drew, to kind of, like, replace what he brings?
Yeah, I mean, Liv is Mr. Maple City. I mean, he leads us in pretty much every category. He's been there with us since the start. He's a quiet guy, and that's I think partially why, you know, he didn't get talked about as much.
Yeah.
And he also didn't have his best regular season, but he showed up all the time. He played the entire season, and he just wanted it bad, and we knew he had to win it before he left for Baylor. But losing Lib, he can't replace Lib. That for multiple reasons. I mean, his hitting, his pitching, his freak athleticism, and just his calmness. He's always calm on the field. And to answer the question, you can't really replace him, but our new additions definitely will help. I mean, but to answer the question, you can't replace Zach Liberatore.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's going to be a loss, and that's where I feel like you guys are the defending champs, but I think teams around the league, especially teams like Granger, I mean, us over in South Bend with the Muffs, like, we smell that, and that's definitely a place where we feel like you guys are definitely, I wouldn't say vulnerable, but definitely like a team that I feel like a lot of teams around the league feel like you guys are not unbeatable. And I don't think it should be that way.
No way.
Right. And I think that's what a lot of people thought about the Newts here these past 2 years. And, you know, things changed a little bit. And we showed last year they can be beat. And obviously we can be beat. I mean, before last year, we hadn't won anything in tournaments, league play, 6 years. It took us 6 years to win anything, and that was a tournament that we started just so we could play and win.
It got the ball rolling. I mean, you guys really exploded this last year.
It was an incredible year. That's for sure. But yeah, and the 3 new guys we got, I truly do believe we have more depth up and down the lineup now. But I mean, when you lose a guy like Lib, I mean, we can't expect them to be there. Maybe 1 series, maybe 2. We're hoping to have them there for hometown days. But all in all, though, I couldn't be any more excited about our 3 new additions. Obviously, Drew and Shane, they have previous experience with us. Shane played in 3 tournaments there at the end of the year with us, and we went 20-0. You know, Drew's hungry to win. Drew, obviously, we had some issues a few years ago, but we've moved on from that. And I know a lot of people were surprised that we were going to bring him back, but I think we'd only be doing ourselves a disservice if we weren't trying to assemble the best roster possible. And there's no doubt that Drew's got an incredible talent. And as
Yeah.
for Nate,
Yeah.
Nate,
Oh, go on.
as for Nate, I mean, he's an art. The art's not going to play with the ball, and he's young, and that's what I liked about that acquisition for sure. And I think you need being on a championship team like us. I think he's really going to learn a lot from guys like Wes and Caleb, and I think that's really going to help him. And playing with his dad, that should be fun too. But all in all, I couldn't be more thrilled about our acquisitions, and yeah, we're ready to go.
Yeah, the Drew thing is interesting to me because there was rumors throughout this last year's season that it was going to be Jet City's last year, and obviously that came to fruition. But Drew, I had heard Drew to Granger from numerous people, not from Drew himself, but from numerous people. I had heard a Drew to Granger link. So I was a little surprised hearing him go back to Maple.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brett. I'll talk about that a little bit.
How close was that to actually happen?
It
or was that just more of a rumor?
It was very close to the point where almost we felt that it was almost done, almost a done deal at points. We had kind of like penciled him into the lineup and stuff. He told us he was interested in playing with us. You know, we hung out with him a lot. He said, yeah, he's like, I want to play with you guys. I want to win. We were going to sign him and Zarek. Zarek thing's another topic.
We'll cover that no later.
Yeah, but Drew, we were excited to have Drew, and then all of a sudden he said at one point he had told me he's down to a couple options, and we were one of them. And he had told me, he's like, I want to play with you guys. I was like, then play with us. And then he ended up signing Maple City. But no hard feelings, you know.
Yeah, you can't really hate on a guy for going home.
No, Drew's a great guy. It's all business. It wasn't anything personal. I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to go back on that, yeah, I mean, when he demanded a trade, there were definitely some issues in the locker room, but that trade turned out for the better for everyone, honestly. Getting John Arndt, that changed our culture, and I mean, you know, we knew we had to kind of clean up our act a bit, and after we got John that year, we went 17-1 to close out the regular season, and you know, I know Drew wants a title bad, and all we've back when he was our first big acquisition. And you know, all we've ever wanted to do together was win. And I know he was getting frustrated about all the losing, and he wanted out. He missed out on a championship, but you know, we got our title. We couldn't be any happier, and it's time to get him one. We're really excited to have him back, as well as Shane and Nate as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you guys play. I mean, Al, I think we were talking about this earlier last year during the season. Me personally, I don't think I've ever played you guys. Maybe once.
I don't think.
Really?
Yeah, it's like the weirdest thing.
One time we played at Wifflehawks, I believe, but you didn't have your.
Yeah.
Because we were in your guys' school.
Ago.
Yeah, but we never played the mechanics, which was.
Wow.
Yeah, it was weird. It was one of those things like. For coincidence, I've never played the Magic.
I feel like we've played the Magic in the past 2 years like a dozen times.
Yeah.
Every tournament we're in their pool.
Yeah, that started to get a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
they're always good games, though.
Always good games, especially that one at the Cam Snead tourney. That was a heck of a game. But
yes, that was the Final Four at Wifflehawks last year.
Aidan, looking forward to finally playing you on opening day. That's for sure.
Week 1. What is that? May 6th, May 5th?
May 6th.
6th.
Coming up, man. Excited for it.
Wiffleball News will be there.
Prime time, 6 o'clock.
Ring ceremony.
Yep.
Right.
Ring ceremony and Mark Krentz. Got Mark Krentz, the new mayor of LaPorte, who will be coming out, tossing out the first pitch. So it'll be a special.
That'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
It'll be a special night, and with all the other games going on at 1 o'clock Eastern, everyone's welcome for the 6 o'clock Eastern game. We'll be grilling out, drinks, everything. It'll be a good time.
Definitely. All right, so we're going to move on a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit about what happened this last offseason. And it kind of seems like a lot to talk about, everything that happened in the offseason over the course of 4 or 5 months in one episode, but we're going to try to do it. So I asked both these guys to give me their 5 most impactful offseason transactions. And Brett, do you want to start with yours?
Sure, why not? So the first one, I'm not trying to be biased here, but Tony Cook to the Granger Panthers, I thought, we scored big there when we got that signing.
Big league.
Yeah, big league.
I also had that as my biggest. And that's big. I mean, Tony's the reigning MVP, hit over 600. Say what you want about the guy, but he knows how to play wiffle. That's for damn sure.
That's for sure. So you want me to go on my second one?
Yeah, go for it.
My second one is Arndt, Luther, and Anderson going to the Magic. Obviously, Drew. We just talked about this. Drew and Shane have been there before. Nate's a great player, so it should be 3 huge signings for Maple City. Congrats on those, Al.
Thank you, sir.
Third one is our very own Aidan Cotter to the South Bend Muffs, coming off an MVP season. I think this Muffs team could be pretty dangerous this year, and I think Aidan's going to be a big impact for him.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think honestly though, I'm bringing with me Connor Van Overbrugge from Jet City and also Garrett Reese, so guys that have played with mechanics before, but those 2 dudes especially, like, I think could make a big leap. And I know, talking with Anthony, like, we're really, really excited for this year.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season for sure. My fourth one is Jason Webb going to the Hudson Lake Heat. I think that's a big signing for them.
Yeah, I actually had that as my second biggest. A little biased just growing up with these guys, but I think Jason's best left fielder in the league, just in my opinion. And there's no doubt he's one of the best. And I
he's
think that's
definitely
a huge.
top 2-5.
I mean, you saw it with us last year. I think that was the biggest culture change. We had Cody too, but having him in left was just.
It was big.
It's really big, and I think that really rounds out that Heat lineup, and I think they're going to really sneak up on some teams.
I think it's something that they've been missing in Hudson Lake, and I think he might be a missing piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely.
Get past the Magic.
They certainly can hit, but they've had some fielding issues, so I definitely agree there.
They had you on the ropes last year.
They sure did. They sure did. They had us. They really did. But when you I'll get into that later. I don't want to piss off Monhoot too much. Who's your number 5, Brett?
My 5th and final one, actually, probably a shocker. Most people haven't heard of it. Is actually Brandon Campbell going to the East Granger Billy Goats. Brandon's actually a pretty good player. He's played a lot of wiffle ball in his day. Great baseball player growing up. So I think it's a big signing for them. Adds to a lineup that could be decent for East Granger.
So did he play with you guys last year?
Yeah, he did. He was on a roster.
How much did he actually play? Because I don't think I saw him play for you guys.
He played for us in F&A, and I don't think he got in any league games.
Gotcha. Is there any relation to Seth, or no?
No, there's no relation. We'll clear the air right now. People always think that they're brothers. No relation whatsoever.
Gotcha.
I actually thought that until just now, so thank you for that.
Al, do you have anything different than Brad?
Let's see, I got a lot of similar things, but a couple different things. I'll start off number 1, biggest acquisition. I got to go with you, Aidan Cotter to the Muffs. I mean, I know Anthony, it was a really tough decision for him to leave us after playing a huge part in us winning a title.
Yeah.
But it was very understandable. He wanted to get his boys back together. And I respect that, and I respect everything he and his brother did for us. But he's a quiet leader, but he's really he had a great off season. And honestly, I was shocked because I thought you were a lock to go to the Newts, especially with the Jay Ryan's gets what Jay Ryan wants Twitter or tweet. But yeah, I mean. Cotter to the Muffs is huge. I mean, that's an MVP right there. So, and yeah, there's not too much more to say about that. I mean, you got a team getting a World Series MVP and then a regular season MVP. You guys are bound for some success for sure. On to my second, I'm gonna gonna toot Maple City's own horn. Go with Arndt, Luther, and Anderson. I think, as we already discussed, we got great pitching with Nate, great fielding with Shane and Drew. We got a lot of talent there. So I'm going those guys at 2. 3, I'm going with Tony the Goat Cook to Granger. He could have been higher, but I put him at 3 because I don't think.
You think what?
Personally, I haven't seen him win the big games yet.
Yeah.
I have not seen him win the big games, and I know he's a little older than the rest of the Granger guys, and I know he's looking to provide some leadership, but it'll be interesting to see how he handles adversity with a younger group. But all in all, I mean, another MVP going to one of the best teams in the league. Heck of an acquisition. So Tony at number 3. Number 4, I'm going to go with Jared Emmons to Emory's Army. I think that's a perfect fit. EA definitely needed some bodies. I mean, Jeff Vervink is playing on one ACL. You never know who's going to show. They needed some bodies, and Emmons is a reliable guy. I mean, he's won 2 Cy Youngs, 7-time All-Star, co-founder of the league with Kobe. I think he fits perfectly there. And Emory's Army, I mean, they had a tough year in their return last year, but they lost a lot of close games, and I think Emmons could be a big difference maker to make them competitors again in the National League. And number 5, I'm going to throw you guys off a little bit with Paul O'Hara and Will Smith to the Godfathers. These guys play for what team is it in tournaments?
Heights Riots?
Yeah, Heights Riots. These guys play for Heights Riots in the tournaments. And Paul, during one of our peace fest then Paul came up to me and asked about ORWBL and if there was any teams who needed some players, and it just seemed like a perfect fit.
Yeah.
Godfathers, and I talked to Mark, and Mark was all about it. And within about 24 hours, they had it locked up, and I know they got a little playing experience at the FA Fall Classic. So I think that was a huge acquisition because the Godfathers are close. They're improving every year in their first 2 years, and I think they've always been just a guy or two short to really compete, and I think O'Hara and Smith could be the difference makers. Got to give a couple honorable mentions to the signings from Lynn Street, Ketterer, Zucker, Bailey Reed, and Mook. I mean, they've won a combined 5 games in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. They're trusting the process, as they've been saying, and those are big acquisitions. So it'd be
Shout out Nick Brassel.
Shout out Brassel. And then just Mark Richards to the Muffs. Mark Richards, I know, is a little bit of an unknown. He's been the captain of the Orange team. Zone 3. Oh
yeah.
Yeah, he's an up and coming young player, real passionate about wiffleball. I think he could be a big part of the Muffs as well as Anthony's looking to find the right lineup. And then just one last honorable mention: Andrew Doran and Lucas Oletti leaving Granger to build East Granger. I think from what I've seen, those guys
they're pretty solid.
Those guys are pretty solid. Doran's knuckleball. I mean, East Granger nearly had us in the FA Fall Classic until Wes hit a walk-off. What's new with that? But, yeah, Doran's got a heck of a knuckleball, and Lucas Oletti, he seems like a really athletic kid. And
they both played well for us this past year, so I'm excited to see what they do on their own.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I think the East Granger versus the Granger series, that'll be real exciting.
Yeah, it should be a good one.
How about you, Aidan?
I definitely had very similar as you guys. I think all 3 of us had the 3 big ones: Tony to Granger, Jason to Hudson Lake, and then the 3 guys going over to Maple City. I think those are Three really big ones. For me, I definitely want to talk a little bit more about the Leps signings. I think this might be the year the Leps honestly start to become like a real football team. I think the last 2 years, their first year was just kind of like throwing guys together.
Yeah.
When
Yeah, and I will say, yeah,
when Bertrand went down.
Sure,
exactly.
they came in taking over the Bushwood or whatever Van Dyke's team when they quit midseason. He reminded me of myself back when I took over the Minutemen. He within 2 days after Bushwood's team quit, he contacted me. He had a park ready, he had a team ready, logo ready, and everything. So I know he reminds me a lot of myself in that sense, and it takes time. You know, it took us 7 years, and so they're entering year 3 now, and first full year. And I think you're right on, Aidan. I think those, especially Zucker.
Yeah, Zucker and Cotter are both the ones. I don't know how much Luke is going to play, but when he plays, like, Luke's definitely, in my opinion, one of the better players in the league. And especially, I mean, you can just see last year, they were noticeably better than their first year.
Oh, yeah.
Noticeably. Like, their first year, they were just not good. And last year, that record was not great, but you could tell they were at least playing wiffleball.
Yeah, I feel like the record didn't really even serve them justice last year.
No.
I feel like every time we played them, like, there was always one game in the series that was like a run or two, like, from us from losing. Like, they always like competed like decently well. They were never like the record like 2 or 3 wins. Like, it wasn't like that bad. So I think these signings are pretty big, and they're going to push them over the edge.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, picking up Zucker, who was an all-star last year, and then Bales from our team. Bales struggled last year, but he's still a 4 or 5 year vet who knows the game.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to show up when it counts. And then finally, I had Emmons at EA as well. That's just kind of a natural fit, I think. I mean, Emery's last year, I think, kind of struggled at the beginning of the season after taking a year off. But towards the end of the season, I think they really started to get it going.
Yeah, they started 0-9, and then they got it going.
Yeah, they finished as the 4 seed in the NL after starting 0-9. Just pretty impressive.
And they, at game 1, Brett, I believe they were hanging with you guys there in the NLDS.
Yeah, they were. Jeremy Ross actually came up big that game. He led the team in home runs, I think, in RBIs. So I think it was like 6-4 or something was the final. It was a good game.
6-4, yeah. So, I mean, EA, they're one of the longest tenured teams in the league. So I know they're hungry. And, I think we all got Emmons to EA is huge.
Yeah, I'm interested to see because Emmons last year, you could just tell with the tackle punchers, they were not really interested in playing wiffleball too much last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be interesting to see if he can have a bounce back year with playing with some guys that have some passion for the game again. I'm excited to watch them play. That's for sure. All right, finally, we are going to talk about our team of the week. So there aren't exactly 14 weeks until the regular season, but we're pretty close. So this week, we're going to start with previewing the South Shore Silver Sluggers, who, as we were talking about before the show, we are not super familiar with, at least me and Brett.
Mm-hmm.
Brett, do you know any of the guys?
I know Hughes because he played with you guys, so I know you obviously know him well. But other than that, I don't know any of these guys. I know that Adam Shea's the manager. Al knows more about him than both of us do. I think he's talked to Shea and some of those guys a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. They posted some of their hometown day stats. And Al, did you guys play them?
Yeah, we were in the same pool as them, I believe. Yeah, we were. It was our 3rd game, wind blowing in, and the score was, I think it was 9-0. But we got like 6 in the first or something. You know, they didn't really know what was going on there early. They kind of struggled to start. But then, you know, for the final 5 innings or so, they held us. They made the plays. But it'll be interesting because, from what I saw, against the wind, they really struggled to get runs.
I think that's a pretty common theme for some of the younger teams in the league when the wind's blowing in. Those are tougher games for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, and you know, especially you, Aidan, playing at the garage.
Yeah, we never really had a
Problem
issue
with
with
that.
the wind until we went and played away games.
Right. And, but yeah, to share a little more about South Shore, yeah, Adam Shea, he's the manager. He's incredibly excited. Today he announced they're going to be playing their home games at a field off of Ironwood Road in South Bend, and they're going to call it the train station.
Naturally.
I like that name.
Nice.
He also announced today a little breaking news that Jack Tiller was just cut from the team due to locker room issues. So any teams, I'm not familiar with Jack Tiller, but any teams in need of a guy, Jack Tiller's a free agent.
Outfielder.
But yeah, and then they got Dan Marino. I mean, that's the best name in the league, hands down. Yeah, I mean, young teams tend to struggle, but you never know with these guys. And then they do have Jacob Hughes, Aidan, who you
Yeah, Hughes has played 2 years with us. Before with us, he used to play with Nate on those before they were Jet City and hometown days. And I mean, he's solid. I mean, his fielding's been a little iffy the last couple of years, but he's a left-handed hitter who really knows how to run the base pass and really get on base. I mean, there were multiple series last year where he hit over 600 for the entire day, and just I think his leadership and him just kind of knowing the game is definitely going to be a big impact on the team. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of role he plays on that team, how much he plays, and where he hits. It'll be really interesting. And then he's really the only one I know on that team, and I'm fairly familiar with who pitched for them last year in hometown days, Nathan Marino. I believe I played basketball against him in the NIC. From what I remember, he's a hell of a shooter from basketball, but I'm not sure how that's going to translate.
Good athlete then.
Yeah, definitely. I think they have some good athletes. I think, Al, you're talking about their fielding was pretty decent in hometown days. Had some guys out there who can make some plays.
Yeah, once they got past that first inning there, they really locked it down. So in terms of fielding, you know, I think they'll be able to hold their own, and I think we got a pretty balanced league this year. So, you know, really any team, with 5 new teams, you know, things are going to go good for some teams. Other teams are going to have the first season struggle, but yeah, I'm really excited about the 5 new teams. I mean, that's pretty impressive. You know, it's nice to be at 14 teams here, which is the most we've ever had. A lot of youth in the league.
I think you cut out a little bit right there. You want to repeat that?
Just talking about some of the new teams. It's really nice to be at 14 now.
Yeah.
The most we've ever had. And it just goes to show you the interests in wiffle ball around the area. I mean, yeah, I got to experience some of the NWLA scene, like I said, and it was different. It was unique, but we got something special going on here in our area, and not too many leagues can, you know, have 14 teams. It's one of the larger leagues in the country. I know that, and then to also have a 80-team tournament connected.
Yeah, that's huge.
I think that really just goes to show how popular the game of wiffle ball is growing in our area.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up NWLA, and before we go, I do want to touch on that a little bit with you. So, you and Wiz went to the NWLA tournament last year and went along with Leroy, with your 2 Leroy guys, Caleb and Jared. And if you just I want to know what your opinion is on potentially ORWBL's future with the NWLA. I know you talked about a little bit, some interest in possibly getting in that. Has anything else come up with that?
Well, at first, nothing wrong against the NWLA tournament. It's run very well. It's a different game, that's for sure, guys. Yeah. I mean, and and like Kobe said in his article, there's no right or wrong way to play wiffle ball. It's wiffle ball.
Absolutely.
But that was a completely different style of wiffle ball. I mean, it was either strikeout or a walk. If you can't hit the board in 5 pitches, that's a walk.
Right.
I mean, so you didn't see too much action in terms of hitting or fielding, and that's why I think, you know, our version is pretty cool, because it keeps people involved pitch by pitch, as opposed to just the pitcher up there. But yeah, it was a good experience. It was a different type of game, but it definitely cool to see the other leagues around the country, and see some of the best and meet them, because ORWBL, I know Kobe never really got around to that scene, so it was definitely fun to see. But in terms of our future for ORWBL in the NWLA tournament, it really all comes down to a couple things. One, scheduling. Usually it's scheduled on the same weekend as the World Wiffleball Championship, and right. I think it's commonly agreed upon everyone in our league that you know, that's a tournament that we all love going to, and so that's definitely something that's going to stop us this year from doing that. I know I was thinking about potentially putting together a team for that, an ORWBL team for that, but we got guys too dedicated into the national or the World Wiffleball Championship, and but if that changes in the future, date-wise, I truly believe that we can compete out there. I mean, it's a different game, like I said, but fielding-wise, we have some of the best fielders in the league. Pitching-wise, I mean, Wes Alice, he's gone over to play in Leroy, and he's been a dominant pitcher.
Yeah, Leroy is the example that I kind of think about when I think about ORWBL and NWLA. Is we've seen now Caleb and Jerry come over and have a pretty big impact in ORWBL, coming from a league like Leroy. But you talk about Wes a little bit, but besides him, like, we haven't seen really ORWBL players go to fast pitch and play
as well as Jonquins did.
Right.
And slow pitch.
That would be my biggest concern with ORWBL in the play.
Right, and yeah, and like, it's all about pitching. It really is. I mean, I know we got great hitters, but our hitters can do very well in Leroy with their style. You get 5 pitches, 5 balls, and then once you get to 5 balls, you throw a lob, and so that kind of, you know, a little more our style. But the NWLA style, it's all fast pitch. It's a different game. But it would take a lot of preparation. It would take a lot of it would take a lot of preparation. Scheduling would have to work out, and for this year, I know we will not be attending, obviously, but if the scheduling works out sometime down the road, I think it would be a nice opportunity to get ORWBL out there.
Absolutely.
And what we're saying, as far as the Leroy guys go, I know they'll be tossing a tournament. Not sure on the date, but it's I believe in May, and they're going to be bringing in Leroy guys, ORWBL guys, and Wiffleball guys for a 3-on-3 tournament where teams are randomly picked. There's like 12 captains or something. Teams will be randomly picked, and I definitely want to encourage all or as many ORWBL guys to go out there. It'll be, you know, it's a different style, and I'll be honest, I think it really helped Wes and myself get better in slow pitch, and it's definitely fun. Definitely a fun style, but yeah. So that tournament, that would be a nice thing that we could at least get some ORWBL guys out there to at least experiment a little bit. For example, Seth Campbell had a great first day in Leroy. But yeah, it's just a different game. But I think that tournament would be a cool opportunity for a lot of the ORWBL guys who I know want to try out the fast pitch game a little bit. It's hybrid fast pitch, so it's a little different. But that would be a good opportunity to maybe see what we could be working with headed down the road in terms of NWLA.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know. I think there's definitely going to be some interest, and we'll see how that takes off throughout the summer and throughout the next couple of years, honestly. All right. Unless you guys have something else, I think that about wraps it up for today.
Yeah. Just want to thank everyone for listening today. First episode of the ORWBL podcast.
Yeah.
Al, we want to thank you for coming on the show with us.
Yeah, it was great talking to you, Al.
Thanks for having me, guys. Great job. Looking forward to the next episode. Any clues who might be guest number 2?
I don't know. We've talked about it a little bit, but we'll try to keep you guys in the dark for right now.
Yeah. Have to stay tuned in.
Absolutely. But anybody who's still listening, or if you didn't get to catch this live, this will be posted later on, and a link will be tweeted from hopefully the ORWBL account. Al, if that's cool.
Sounds perfect.
All right. Other than that, just want to thank everybody for joining us, and that about concludes the first episode of the ORWBL podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
We will catch you guys later next week.